Good morning and welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration. Glad you could join me here today, as always, here to enlighten, inspire, and build you up. Today's topic is going to be, for you guys out there, women are not the enemy. I've been hearing this since I can remember, since I was old enough to start hanging around with the guys, that girls are, what's wrong with girls? They act this way, they act that way. And then as I grew older, it was, why are these girls acting this way? I was a teenager. I don't understand them. Why do they do this? Why do they do that? Why can't they be more like guys? And then as I became adult and I got married the first time, I heard people talking about, hey, my wife does this, my wife does that. Complain. And hey, I've joined in on it too, but it never accomplishes anything. You are never going to understand a woman completely unless you become a woman, which they kind of trying to do nowadays, but you really can't do that, okay? You're always going to be a man. Even if you have a sex change, you're still going to be a man, okay? So you can come to understand women, but the best thing you can do is to understand that you'll never fully understand them. I'll never understand what it's like to be a giraffe because I'm never going to be a giraffe, unless you believe in reincarnation. And I think it's some of the beliefs in the East think that you can actually be a bug or a dog or a cat. And hey, who knows? There are many things that I don't understand, so I don't claim to know everything. But I do know that I don't understand women completely, and I never will. But you have to remember that they complain about men also, because they will never completely understand a man. And go to the golden rule. I believe in the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Now that makes a lot of sense, except when it comes to men and women. Because you don't want to treat women the way you want to be treated, because a woman does not want to be treated like a man or like you treat your best friend. It's just different. We interact differently because we think differently. I know there's a lot of this going around now about equalism or sameness. Men and women will never be the same. Now, the word equal, it depends on how you look at that. I believe we are all equal in the eyes of God, if you like. I don't believe anybody is better, inherently better or worse than anybody else. Although I know we look at some people and we think they're a terrible human being, or they do these terrible things, or they do these great things. You could look at people and think, yes, this person is better than that person. But really that just depends on which side of the fence you're standing on. I know here in the US we have war heroes, right? So we have a war hero. Let's say he killed 100 of the enemy. He's a hero, he's a great man. Is he? It's because you're looking from this side of the fence. To the families of the fathers that he killed, he's not such a hero, is he? What about them? The wives, the children that have no father now, that have no husband? Think about that. Is he a hero to them? No, he's a villain. So it depends where you are perceiving from. So as we look at women, we're perceiving from a point that we want them to act or to do a certain thing. And why should they? Why should they act as the way we want them to act? You need to think about that. And wouldn't it be boring if women acted like men? Where would the contrast be? Where would the polarity be? And speaking of polarity, we have the masculine and feminine side of each of us. You as a man have a feminine side of you. And every woman has a feminine and masculine side. If you are walking or living in your masculine, you are more attracted to a feminine woman. And a feminine woman, if she is in her masculine, she may be more attracted to a feminine man, a passive man, a compliant man. Although I don't see that working out very well, because the women seem to not, just my opinion, from what I've experienced and what I've seen in other relationships with other men, a woman doesn't like to have to wear the masculine pants in the family, so to speak, because the man is really expected to do that. For thousands of years, for eons, the men have been the leaders and the forceful power in the relationship. Now, if you're a woman watching this, you may think, yeah, the domineering bastard or the jerk that wants to run the show or control everything. I'm not talking about that. I think a man needs to be dominant. He's not necessarily controlling everything, but what he does do, he controls himself. He controls his emotions. He is a rock. He is a mountain. He's a strong tower, if you like. That the woman, when she's going through her emotional storms, which women have more so than men, although I see some men now having them like a woman, that's another video, she can go to him and know that he's going to stay strong during the storms of life. And you can bet your ass you're going to have some storms in life. There's going to be times when things are going to hell. Well, it seems like they're going to hell, but they're not really. If you have a goal, a vision, a purpose in life, these things are molding and forming your character so you can achieve what you have desired within yourself. Each of us have desires. Each of us have a desire to be more than we are, or to be different or better, however you choose to look at it. I don't like to use the word better because it connotates that you're not good enough, but you are good enough right now. And until you accept that, it's really difficult to grow. Because if you're not accepting that you're good enough now, you're beating yourself up. You're belittling yourself. And if you don't respect yourself, then you'll feel like you don't deserve to have any better. But back to the men and women are different. Men and women are the same, this kinds of things. Women have a way of thinking that you will never understand. Never. You will never understand that. Unless you're a woman. But you will never be a woman, at least not in this lifetime, if you believe in reincarnation or whatever you believe in. So appreciate the differences. That's what makes life worth living. You wouldn't enjoy cool weather if you didn't know what it was like when it was really hot and miserable, or when it was really cold like it is this morning here in Missouri. It's like 5 degrees out there. It's really cold. But during the year, we have these changes of seasons. The spring, there's some days in there that are just so beautiful, but they wouldn't seem beautiful if you didn't know the contrast. And the contrast is today. It's really cold out there. Do I want to go out? No, I don't, but I'm going to. Okay, I've gotten used to it through the years. I used to hate cold. I don't particularly like it now, but I've learned to tolerate it. Now the heat, it gets up to around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 105 here. It has through the years. That's really hot. I prefer the heat rather than the cold. But they're both uncomfortable. But during the spring and the fall, we have some days that are just perfect. It's beautiful outside. So I really enjoy those. But it's the contrast. So men and women contrast each other. And we learn to appreciate these things. So instead of complaining about how women are and you don't understand them and why they do this and why they do that, learn to appreciate the differences. Because as I said, it's the contrast of everything. Light, dark, up, down, in, out, that helps you to understand and to evaluate what you do like, what you don't like, to know the difference. You cannot know great joy and happiness unless you've known deep sorrow and sadness. And I've known both. But what people do is they try to medicate or drink these feelings away. They try to control the outer situation by putting something into their body because they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to accept it, if you like. So we must accept that women are different. We need this polarity of masculinity and femininity. And when you have a masculine man with a feminine woman, a feminine woman, then you have that polarity is balanced and you have a good relationship. That doesn't mean that sometimes maybe the man may not be in his feminine, because I had to raise my kids by myself for, 10 years. And that is a feminine role. Okay, and I had to be more into my feminine. But I will guarantee you, I could not raise those kids as well by myself, which I did, as if I had a woman here, a feminine woman that could nurture and help those kids in a way that I'm not able to because I'm too much in my masculine. Even though I had to, let's say, tap into my feminine side. I didn't do it on purpose. It's just something that happens when you put yourself in that role. Because there's times when the kids come to me crying and a mother would just pick them up and say, oh, it's okay, what happened? Me, I'm like, all right, what'd you do? What'd you do? I didn't do anything, Dad. I'm like, yeah, right. What did you do? See, I'm more logical. I'm like, let's get down to the bottom of this. Let's fix it. This is where a mother would pick her child up. It's okay, honey, and pat him and I love you or whatever, just to kind of comfort the child. Even though I knew, and I was able to do that a couple times, even though I knew that's what I needed to do or was supposed to do, it's just something that's not inherent in me. It's not a skill. That is a great skill. It's something to be admired. It's something to be honored. And that is something a feminine woman has. And we've really just beat down femininity here in the United States like there's something wrong with it, like it's a weakness, and it's not a weakness. Look back through history, how the great feminine women have encouraged and empowered their husbands to become great men. And on the reverse side of that, look back how feminine, seductive, beautiful women have taken great leaders down and destroyed them by their feminine power, by their power of persuasiveness, seductiveness. You could say manipulation, but manipulation can be used for either good purposes or bad purpose. It depends on how you use it. But yet this is a power that women have, I'll say over men. I don't really like to say it that way, but for lack of a better way to express it, I'll say over men. And a woman can really persuade, let's say persuade instead of manipulate, can really persuade a man to either excel or she can bring him down. A woman can be a great asset for a man or a great liability, a great partner or a great destructor. So let's focus on the good qualities of women instead of complaining about how they don't act like we want them to act. Women are not the enemy. Remember, make that a mantra. Women are not the enemy. We have groups of people out there that talk about women like they're dogs, okay? They're not dogs. But we have women who talk about men like they're dogs too. We have this feminist movement that actually talks badly about men, although I don't know a lot about the feminist movement, so I probably can't elaborate on that too much. But it's amazing how many women, and there are women, and men do it too, that talk badly about men, but yet they act like men. They shake hands like men, they dress like men, they get their hair cut, they act masculine. But then they don't like the way men are. They talk about toxic masculinity. But then again, that's another video too. I'm going to stop for today because we have a little work to do and I got to get going. Thanks for joining me. If you'd like to get my help personally, my website is marksinspiration.com, and you can find out a little bit more about me and what I do there and how I got to where I am here today. So, I'm going to get out of here. You have a great day. Thanks for listening. See you later.